unveiling the untold story of how Israel secretively helped build Singapore's army from scratch. In 1826, Singapore became British colony of the Straits Settlements. Just 6 years later, it rose to become the capital, attracting a kaleidoscope of migrants from China, India, and other parts of Asia. The British established a naval base in 1922, but Japan's surprise attack in 1941 during World War II left Singapore reeling. The British recaptured the city, but their failure to defend it had already eroded trust. Post-war, economic woes and communist sentiments pushed Britain to grant self-government in 1959, with the charismatic 35-year-old Lee Kuan Yew at the helm. Against all odds but for economic reasons, they took the bold step of joining the Federation of Malaysia, alongside Malaya and others, in September 1963. But their dreams of unity were short-lived, as fundamental disagreements over policies with the federal government led to their abrupt expulsion, orchestrated by Malaysia's president Tunku Abdul Rahman. The Malay Ultras, led by Tun Abdul Razak and Syed Ja'afar Albar, seethed with resentment, believing Singapore should have been forced to stay and submit. On the 9th of August 1965, Singapore emerged as an independent nation, unprepared and vulnerable. How would this tiny island, home to 2 million people, survive and thrive amidst the giants that surrounded it? Against this backdrop, Israel's military expertise would play a pivotal role in shaping Singapore's army, a testament to the power of resilience and cooperation. Setting the stage, a nation's fight for survival. Imagine a tiny island, forged by British colonial might, now standing alone without its lifeline. This was Singapore in the 1960s, a heart without a body, as declared by its leader Lee Kuan Yew. The newly minted nation struggled to gain global recognition, its very existence doubted by observers worldwide, led by Western media. Fear and uncertainty gripped its people and leaders as the British, its former protectors, faced economic woes back home. Would they abandon their bases, leaving Singapore vulnerable to predators? Lee Kuan Yew's urgent meeting with British Prime Minister Harold Wilson in 1966 was a desperate bid to secure a military safety net, and with it, the future of a nation. Turbulent times gripped the globe as anti-American sentiments surged, fueled by the brutal Vietnam War and a relentless communist propaganda driven by Russia and China. This meant that Singapore, still reeling from its newfound independence, couldn't afford to rely on the unpopular United States as a replacement for Britain's military might. Oh, the region was a powder keg, with a bloody coup in Indonesia in 1965, led by General Suharto, sending shockwaves. Meanwhile, racial tensions simmered in Malaysia, with spillover into Singapore, culminating in Malaysia violent riots on May 13, 1969, just days after their general elections. Within Singapore's multicultural melting pot, a delicate balance existed, with 3/4 of the population being Chinese, yet the military and police forces largely comprising Malays. The Indian community and other ethnic groups added to the complexity, making Singapore a hotbed of diverse cultures and religions. In the crucible of independence, Singapore's strategic harbor, forged by nature and nestled amidst the world's busiest sea lanes, shone like a beacon of opportunity. The nation's leadership, battle-hardened from fighting off communist and Malay ultra threats, had earned the trust of its people through unwavering resolve and defiance in the face of uncertainty. With its armed forces still under Malaysian control, Singapore's very existence hung in the balance, and failure would mean surrendering to its neighbors' terms. Against all odds, this fledgling nation was determined to forge its own destiny, no matter the cost. Singapore run to Israel and is welcomed. Just months after gaining independence from Malaysia in 1965, the island nation found itself vulnerable, with only 2 infantry regiments of 1,000 men each, under Malaysian command. The delicate racial balance was on the brink of collapse, with 700 Malaysian and 300 Singaporean soldiers in each regiment. As racial and religious tensions simmered, Lee Kuan Yew turned to his trusted friend, Go Keng Sui, whom he made the defense minister at Go's request, reached out to Israeli ambassador in Bangkok, Mordecai Kidron, for military support. In a bold move, Singapore makes a desperate dash to Israel, seeking military help despite their refusal in 1962-63 to grant Israel a consulate in Singapore, even before the previous merger with Malaysia. With India's Lal Bahadur Shastri and Egypt's Nasser refusing to offer support, the stage was set for a clandestine alliance with Israel. In November 1965, a team of Israeli experts, codenamed the Mexicans, led by Colonel Jacques Elazari, arrived in Singapore, marking the beginning of a secretive partnership that would change the nation's fate. Among the first acts of Israeli support was the selling at a discount of 30 French-made AMX-13 light tanks to Singapore in January 1968. By September 1969, only 4 years after separation and full independence, these 30 refurnished tanks plus another 42 tanks and 174 wheeled V-200 armored vehicles had arrived in Singapore. Singapore proudly showcased its military might during the 9th of August 1969 National Day Parade, marking the 150th anniversary of Singapore's founding. The display sent shockwaves through the region. The Malaysians, who lacked tanks altogether, were left reeling, suspecting that Singapore might be planning an attack. But the Israelis' genius went beyond mere hardware and physical training. They imparted their military doctrines, emphasizing skills, motivation, and rapid localization. With only 18 Israeli officers on hand, Singaporean counterparts understudied them in each step for quickest handover, a far cry from the British and American approaches. In the same era, the U.S. under President Kennedy sent about 3,000 to 6,000 men of advisors to help Vietnam to build the South Vietnam Army. Lee Kuan Yew and Go Sui embarked on an ambitious military plan, inspired by Israel's lightning-fast mobilization strategy. The first batch of trainees reported for duty in August 1967, with Israeli experts guiding their naval buildup. The stunning Israeli victory in the Six-Day War that June electrified the Singaporean trainees, boosting their morale. Despite Foreign Minister Raja's reservations, Singapore courageously abstained from the UN General Assembly's condemnation of Israel. Israel's continued support became public knowledge, paving the way for open diplomatic exchanges, culminating in the establishment of a trade representative office in October 1968 and a full embassy in May 1969, marking a new era of cooperation, purposeful actions, and global cooperation. Singaporeans, under the guidance of Israeli military leaders, embarked on a mission to revolutionize the nation's mindset, transforming the perception, particularly Chinese, of a people's army from a dreaded necessity to a badge of honor. They achieved this by engaging the youth in exhilarating sports and physical activities, cultivating a sense of adventure and thrill-seeking. The Singapore Armed Forces attracted top talent, while ensuring the army remained subservient to political leadership by entrusting crucial functions like manpower and finance to civilian officers in the defense ministry. The Singapore National Service Law guaranteed jobs for full-time soldiers, even after leaving active duty in the reserve, drawing even many Chinese Singaporeans to the army. Behind the scenes, Britain played a pivotal role in safeguarding Singapore's interests during its separation from Malaysia. The British presence also served as a deterrent to potential Malaysian aggression, and they even provided pilot training starting August 1968. Their eventual withdrawal announcement in January 1968, effective in 1971, marked a significant milestone in Singapore's independence journey. Beyond Singapore's shores, a network of international alliances played a crucial role in shaping the nation's military prowess. New Zealand, for instance, hosted young sailors for specialized training, while Taiwan generously provided a vast training ground for Singapore's infantry, armor, and artillery units. The United States granted access to the strategic Clark Air Base from the late 1970s to the 1990s, before relocating to Australia and U.S. soil. Elite national service recruits were handpicked for coveted overseas scholarships, earning the chance to study at prestigious universities in Britain and the United States, with full pay and scholarships. In return, they committed to at least 8 years of dedicated service in the Singapore Army, fostering a new generation of leaders. Summary. In a debut, Sinnathamby Rajaratnam, affectionately known as Raja, led Singapore's maiden delegation to the UN in September 1965, marking a significant milestone in the nation's journey to global recognition. Fast forward to 1971, when the British military finally bid farewell to Singapore, the nation boasted an impressive arsenal: 17 national service battalions, 16,000 men, and 14 reserve battalions, 11,000 men. The military prowess extended to infantry, commando, artillery, and armor units, supported by military schools, naval training centers, and a diverse Air Force fleet. A quantum leap in only a few years. All these largely orchestrated by Israel and executed by Singaporeans. Singapore's remarkable transformation was not a solo effort. By understanding and leveraging its unique history, cultural heritage, and strategic alliances, the nation navigated complex global dynamics with caution and finesse. Through bold decision-making but also execution, Singapore harnessed all its racially diverse human capital without discrimination, embracing opportunities, avoiding conflicts, and steering clear of corruption to emerge as a resilient and strong military nation to be reckoned with. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video. Kindly subscribe for more intriguing videos. Lessons Untold. Relax, review, reflect,